The best thing that's happened to New York is the skyline has changed. I think we waited a long time to see anything new on the horizon that was impactful. So that's been a real leg up. It makes people feel as though they can believe in the city, that we're still a world-class city, that we're still a leader. So the architecture has been a mood lifter, I think, for everybody living here. What it's also done for the city is it's built a ton of residential properties, making a lot of real estate brokers a little bit richer, which I'm happy for, but also bringing a ton of people into the city with an infrastructure that I frankly don't think can support it as well as it should. So what do you build new, and what do you tear down, and what do you save? That's the million-dollar question always. And for that, you need great judgment and a great eye for beauty. But I think the city can certainly do both at once. There's many great examples of taking an old structure, preserving its beauty totally intact, and yet wrapping it with something new and spectacular. I'm hoping a great example of how architecture can affect the way people feel is look at Times Square. Right? Just look at the ticket office. You walk and see that ticket office and you feel like, whoa, this is a happening place. The theater business is not dead, and wow, I want to be here. I mean, look at what a small, great treatment of something that was old and dingy could do to all of Times Square. And the pedestrian walkway there totally changes the tone, takes the pressure out of Times Square, and makes it feel like it was built for pedestrians. So it's amazing what the effect is of architecture when well applied to the cityscape. It's a favorite new buildings, number one on the list, the Apple Store in Midtown. Number two on the list, the Apple Store on the Upper West Side. I mean, that to me is pure beauty, practically applied with light, the translucency, the simplicity of what architecture is at its best. I can't think of any building in New York I like better than those two Apple stores. Well, the good thing about the Bloomberg administration is they had a practical hand of what needed to be done. I think, speaking from my perspective as a real estate broker, certainly the development or redevelopment of the Wall Street area, the Upper West Side, has totally changed those neighborhoods. And so it created neighborhoods that weren't there before. And what's wrong with that, right? The other great A on the report card for the administration is the development of green spaces. I mean, the bike paths on the west side, I'd of course like to see them on the east side where I live, has totally changed the mood on the west side against that river. And so I think they've been both practical, where you can make the money and increase the tax base and give the tax incentives so the developers walk in there and do their thing, and also preserve what's precious to the soul, which are the green spaces, and encourage that. I think it's the obligation of any great city to inspire the people that live there. And I think there's no shortcut to inspiration like great architecture. So if people have to look up or look out and be inspired, it makes them feel better about themselves. And I don't think you can put a dollar amount on that or justify it with your left brain, but I think people get it. And so New York going forward, it has to use the architecture, or architects rather, from around the world, as they've been doing in the last 10 years, getting the best minds here, doing their best design, and it keeps us feeling and looking as a leader, and we are a leader if we have it. It's just the way it goes. We're a great city. This period, I think, we'll be looking back on as the period where the middle class, frankly, ceased to exist. That New York City has become a wealthy town of the rich from around the world, both in business and living here. And I think we'll see clearly this last 10 years, this last decade, as a chapter where we had a building boom and the city was able to absorb it. But I think the people that live here have totally changed. It is a town of the wealthy, no doubt about it.